Welcome to Bigfoot
and the Bunny.
This is a couple's journey into the mysterious,
the unknown, and the paranormal.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm your host, Kristen Johnson.
Together we are Bigfoot and the Bunny.
And we are live. Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny. I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I am Kristen Johnson today.
And we are glad just today.
Just today.
And we are so happy to be here. As usual.
As always.
Chasing our tails.
That was actually me today, not you.
No, it was me too. It was me too. My afternoon nap went a little long.
A little.
Afternoon nap. Well, I sound like I'm 150.
Delight, yeah.
It's because I didn't really sleep last night.
No.
What are you going to do? See some friends out there. Hello, Anne-Marie Young.
Hello, beautiful.
What is going on? Mr. Scott Horn.
Yes,
how you doing, brother?
Horns.
Horn Paranormal Research. Love you guys. And Bill Metz.
Yes, we do.
What's happening?
Hi, Bill. Hi, Mort.
Oh, yeah. And drink Four Locos. I don't know about the Four Locos, my friend. I think I already am a little bit loco.
He is.
Hey there,
Ron
Mort.
Parrish is in the house.
Echo Leaf had said, rise from your grave. And I love that Altered Beast thing. I'll tell you, I wish I could be a kid again and just play Altered Beast like 24 hours a day. That would just be like so happy. I'm just happy with that.
Yeah.
Just have unlimited quarters. What's going on? Carol Garcia.
Hi, Carol.
And
Greg is messaging the
and
group.
Ron. Hey, and Greg, we're live. Come join us. I think Greg is doing a show tonight as well. Our good friend Greg Koss, Shadow Hunters Paranormal and Metaphysical Crossings, which we're fortunate enough to be part of on a rotational basis. If you guys haven't seen that, do check it out. It's on the Shadow Hunters events page. You can find it on Facebook. And every Wednesday we do an ITC based program, usually centering around the Estes method. And Friday nights he hosts the Shadow Hour. Which is a wonderful show.
Very busy man.
He's a busy guy. Really busy.
Hi, Ron.
What's going on, Ron? And hey, Sue Jones.
Hi,
hello,
Sue.
Hello. So we got a wonderful show for you guys tonight, and we'll get right into things. And I'm excited. Our guest is Christopher Brown. He's returning after visiting us about a year ago, just maybe a little more than that. And we had a great talk last time. I am so looking forward to talking to him. He was born in Portland, Maine, became aware of his spiritual energy from an early age. Spirit communication, on the other hand, was something he never thought he'd do. Living for many years in an extremely haunted house. We talk about this a lot, childhood experiences. This sparked his love and interest in the paranormal. After investigating an old seminary in Maine, he discovered his ability as a psychic medium. This led him to discover spirituality, which he is now an independent spiritualist minister, as well as a Reiki master teacher. Ever since he studied mediumship and psychic work, as well as metaphysics, from platform gallery type readings to personal ones, one-on-one type readings, Reverend Christopher attends fairs across the country, giving meaningful event messages from the spirit world and sharing his knowledge of the paranormal. He is also working as a paranormal consultant for teams to help with his validation. He is currently working on a book called I Fucking Knew It.
You don't know how many times a day I say that.
Which we love that. Great title.
Yeah. And
working toward filming a web series with Toby Hartford called Soul Searching. So let's bring him right on and we can talk about these things. Good evening, Christopher. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing great, my friend. Doing great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Living the dream here.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Hey there, Lynn Monet. Lots of people out there saying hello. Joanne Stewart.
Hi,
Hey,
Joanne.
everybody.
These are wonderful people, many of which we consider our paranormal family.
Absolutely.
You guys are awesome. And I know we covered some of this childhood stuff when we talked last, but it is such a big point on our show because I'm sure you've heard me say it, more than 99% of our guests have had some sort of childhood experience. It's rare to have not had a paranormal experience as a child that sticks out in their mind and not be involved in this in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, mediumship or just being an investigator, or maybe they're into UFOs, ufology, it might have been aliens they saw, cryptids, it could be anything. But it seems to be a common thread. Now, it's not everybody. Lloyd Auerbach was an exception, which was surprising, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowledgeable as Lloyd is, awesome guy. But, he got into it later in life. Tell us about yours, if you don't mind.
Please.
No, not at all. So, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this today. My earliest kind of spiritual or kind of paranormal experience, when it was kind of a mediumistic one, and I guess I didn't even realize it. But our neighbor in Connecticut, I used to live in Connecticut when I was young, and I lived in Groton, Connecticut. I remember this very clearly. Or no, maybe it was Mystic at the time, but one of the two. But I was living in Connecticut, and I remember our neighbor had passed away, and he lived down this long dirt driveway. And my brother and I were walking down the street, and I look over, and I swear I saw him. And he was standing at the end of the driveway. And I told my brother at the time, and of course he didn't see it. He didn't believe me. And so what did he do? He grabbed me by the arm and he dragged me down the road. He was like, all right, let's go see him. Let's go see the ghost. And of course I'm frantically going, no. Like, don't bring me near him. Because it freaked me out. I didn't really know what to expect, but that was kind of like my first kind of inkling that there was something paranormal going on. And then when I got to the house, this was in Maine. It was a place, it was right on Ocean Ave, right in Portland. That place started very subtly. It was very kind of like slow at first. Little things would happen, like lights would flicker, or you'd hear like at your door, and there'd be nobody there. And then like the shadow figures started coming in, and like we were seeing those sorts of things. And then there was like, you'd hear disembodied voices. You'd think the TV was going, and it really wasn't. I remember pots and pans being on the top shelves of things for years, years and years, and they would just fly off sometimes, and for no explanation, no rhyme or reason. So that was kind of like the start of it all for me.
Wow. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, it's an interesting start.
Yeah. Like, kind of trial by fire, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the adult self, or even as a person matures, like there's some questions that resonate. Like, did I really see that? Is that real? I know I had this experience. This is how I remember it.
Yeah.
And it's true for Kristen and I. And I think it's why people stay involved, get involved, or at least fascinated by the subject.
Absolutely. I remember too being a kid and like, not really like, because there wasn't a lot of paranormal TV shows on when I was a kid, or at least if there was, I didn't know about them. But I remember grabbing a recorder and being like, oh, we're going to catch this thing. We're going to catch something on the recorder. So we set it down at the bottom of the stairs. I remember because we lived on 3 floors. And so we set it on the second floor. Our bedrooms were on the 3rd floor. And we set the recorder down. We went back the next morning. We listened through about 2 or 3 hours worth of tape, and nothing happened. And all of a sudden we heard the bathroom faucet go on for about 4 or 5 seconds and then turn off. And then we were like, oh, we got something.
And did you hear anything in the water sounds other than the water running?
No, just the water running. It was like as if somebody came in, turned the faucet on, let it run for a little bit, and then turned it off. And then we asked, the other people that lived there, because my mom lived there too, and my brother and sister, and they had no recollection of doing anything like that. They weren't awake. It was like probably 2 or 3 in the morning. So nobody could fess up to make the claim. So we were guessing it was paranormal.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure,
especially considering all the other crazy things that happened in that house. I mean,
well, that's just it. These things lend confirmation. And I know in your bio, it mentions that you'll work with paranormal teams to help them confirm maybe some of the data that they've collected. Yeah.
So like, walking into some of these paranormal locations, like if I can come up with a name, or if I can come up with a personality type, or maybe even the gender of a spirit that's there, especially if they're, if they've been doing their own research and then it matches up, like that's awesome, both for me and them. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's validation to know that I'm definitely picking up on spirit, and it's validation for them to know that they're picking up on spirit as well.
Absolutely. What are some unusual or astounding kind of things, like revelations that you've come across along the way working with paranormal teams?
One of the things, there was a location. This was a private location, but there was a woman that was her background was more Muslim and Eastern European, that sort of thing. I believe, but she was from that kind of Iran, Iraq area, and so was all of her family. But I remember there was something coming through, and I was like, yeah, it was her grandmother was coming through for her, but she was showing me things that were kind of more like Muslim holidays and things like that. And I remember saying, what is Eid? Like, what is Eid? And she was like, Eid's her favorite holiday. And I was like, I never heard of Eid before, like. And so I thought that was kind of astounding that she was able to bring me to something that like even my own memory banks didn't have any kind of conscious awareness of. And and for me to say it out loud, for her to be like, yeah, that was her favorite holiday and she's the spirit that's here. So that was one thing that was pretty wild for me.
That is definitely pretty cool.
I have questions about that because I'm like, well, if they speak another language, would they speak the same language, or do you think that they could actually come up with like English to say it, or in our heads, or however we get it?
No, I totally know what you mean. I truly believe that they can use what's in my head, and what's in my head is mostly English. Right. I know some foreign language swears, but other than that, it's mostly English. Yeah, I mean, so I truly believe that they can use what is in our minds to kind of get us to where they need to go, especially if they didn't speak the English language. They can still, now that they're in spirit, use the energy of that to kind of show me what they want to communicate with, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. I've always wondered that.
Yeah, that's a thing, because we've heard EVPs that were clearly in French and that sort of thing, or a different language. But it seems to me that spirit often communicates in symbols or in ways that you're going to understand. Is that how it is for you? Do you hear actual words? Do you see symbols that mean a certain thing? How does it work?
So that's a great question. So as far as symbols go, there's certain symbols that I get that, like, for example, if somebody has blue eyes, I always see Frank Sinatra. Because they called him Old Blue Eyes, right?
Right.
So that's kind of like I like when I see Frank Sinatra, or if I hear the words Frank Sinatra, I'll say, "Oh, your loved one must have had blue eyes." Does that make sense? And someone will go, "Yeah, that makes sense."
So it's something that's
a good confirmation.
Something to you personally,
right.
And
yeah, exactly. So that's one symbol and sign that I have, and sometimes it's clear as a bell. I've had times where a woman has come to me and said, "My name is Barb. I am this woman's grandmother. I passed away in the hospital, and tell her that I love her." And then I give that information, and sure enough, she's like, "Yep, my grandmother's name was Barb. She passed in the hospital, and I thank you for telling me that she loves me." You know what I mean? Like, it just, sometimes it's clear as a bell like that, and sometimes it's very cryptic. Sometimes I have to get around certain things. Like there was one time, this woman's mother came through, and she was showing me a lemon. Like, and I was like, what's I feel like there's a connection to lemons. Did she, I feel like she must have liked lemons or had something to do with that. And she goes, no, nothing like that. And I was like, okay, no problem. And then her mother had me bring it up again, like 4 or 5 times throughout the reading. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I got to tell you, she's showing me a bright yellow lemon. And she goes, oh, well, yellow was her favorite color.
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
Sure.
So that's kind of like a way to clairvoyantly show me kind of what she was trying to get at. Although I misinterpreted it because I saw the lemon and thought, oh, it must be a lemon. Where really she was just showing me that her favorite color was yellow.
That's right. And like, how many things are really yellow, right? If you were to try to list them, say top 5 yellow things, lemon will probably make that list.
School
So
bus.
Right.
Total sense.
But yeah, because we were talking about going to Gobekli Tepe. Some reason I'm
cool.
there. And I said to Chris, I'm like, well, if we get EVPs, do you think that they'd say it in their language, which we really don't know what that was right now? Or do you think they would do like that? Give us symbols, in our brain so we'd understand as we're hearing the EVP or something?
Yeah. Would we hear some insect like clicks and clacks?
Oh, no, yeah.
Prior alien hybrid thing.
I know, right?
Oh,
that'd be creepy.
Yeah, it would. I'm sure they were very more intellectual than that at that time.
So in that scenario, though, I think that it would be possible for them to give you their own language through the EVP, but through your mind and your own psychic faculties, use what you know and what you're kind of familiar with.
You're like the filter.
Yeah, exactly.
They're expressing something, and do you find that those expressions are details or like more emotion based?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, I guess what I mean by that is the key is in the safe, is it going to be like more like a sense of fear, like you need to get this key, or are you seeing the safe itself in a combination?
So it varies per each person. You know what I mean? It depends on each individual, how they're going to get it. But it could very well be a feeling, like you said. It could be like, I feel like there's like, you need to get the key to the safe. And I feel like that's something that's really important for you. Or they could be showing you that. Like, it depends on the spirit communicator as well, I think, as to how it comes through. Like, sometimes it could be very much like clairaudient, where you can clearly hear it. And they'll just say, the key needs to go to the safe. And then there's might be other times where, like I said, clairvoyantly, they'll show you the image of the safe and the key. Or, in different ways like that. Or there could be a knowing, like a clear cognizant knowing of just being like, okay, I know that there needs to be the key that goes with the safe. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Nice. Yeah. So I think that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
But it's totally individual and totally kind of.
Hey, everybody's
unique.
different too.
Yeah, unique to the individual.
Including the spirit that you're talking to, right? So
absolutely. Like, if there was a person that talked in metaphor while they were here, they're going to continue to talk in metaphor while they're on the other side. If they were very direct, they might be, they'll be very direct. They stay the same people for sure.
All right, I'll go a little deeper with that, because I find it a fascinating subject, and I've been reading a lot about like the cauldron of Posey and the three cauldrons and this sort of thing. Are you familiar with that?
No, I don't think I have.
Where this idea of the soul is broken up into three pieces. They put a very generalized take on it, right? And so in a lower self is this more emotional, driven, earthly desires type part of the soul, where like the middle is like the more reasoning, and the upper is more the divine, or the connection to divinity, right? To just put it very simply. And a lot of ghosts, or spirits, let's not call them ghosts necessarily, spirits that are able to articulate something that was more than just an emotion, would be coming from that middle self. Like a person is made up of like these different concepts, almost fragments. People talk about soul fragmentation and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And like a poltergeist type haunting may come from the lower self, because it is just this wild swinging emotions. Why they might attribute this like to teenagers full of hormones manifesting this kind of behavior, right? That's like psychokinesis or something, right?
Right.
I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that, and what a soul might be. And that's a big question, I know, right there, but
Consciousness.
Any thoughts on that, and with maybe your spiritualist background, does that lend any kind of belief to it?
So I truly believe in that aspect of kind of that there could be soul fragments, you know what I mean? Or there could be individual pieces of your soul that are kind of left in certain spots. Like the analogy that I used was Harry Potter. Are you guys familiar with Harry Potter?
Of course.
So Voldemort and his Horcruxes, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of how I see it, is that could be a possibility as to why there's certain residual hauntings, why there's certain kind of still some intelligent hauntings as well, because pieces of them still remain connected to those certain locations, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't been able to move on. You know what I mean?
Bingo. Yeah, and that's where I'm getting at. Like when you encounter a haunting, you may not be talking to the full spirit, the full person.
Yeah.
Right. You could just be
to
talking to a piece of that person.
That's true. Yeah. I think that's fascinating, and I think people overlook that. They tend to think, oh my God, the uncle is stuck in the shed with the lawnmower for some reason, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just something of him that is
he wants to
kind of there
his lawn because he was very proud of it.
He's moved on to wherever he goes. Right.
Really? Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I know you have some events coming up, and you've done quite a few. We've met at Wilson Castle's events. A little controversial, but boy, we love Wilson Castle.
Wilson Castle's great.
Up in Proctor, Vermont. But you're doing an event with Warren Paranormal Preservation Society as well.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that one's going to be on May 6th, and I'm going to be doing a gallery reading for the folks that are there before the investigation, and then there'll be an investigation of the hall afterwards. So I've never been there. I'm super excited. Matt Warner has always been an awesome guy, and I love working with him. So it's going to be even better to kind of team up with him and have a good night. But like I said, I'll be doing gallery reading for the folks that are there, which will be everybody in kind of a group. and then I'll be kind of drawn to whoever I'm drawn to, and I'll go to people individually. Usually that's about an hour or so, and then the investigation, like I said, will follow.
That is really cool. And I just put a link out there to that so that people
Awesome.
can
Thank you.
And some of our folks are local. We got people all over, so you never know.
Yeah.
Can't hurt. And I'll put the date out there as well so people know.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Looks like we might have a question out there in the audience. Carol Garcia says, so would that be then why some spirits have stronger energy than others?
That could very well be. It could well be that like more of their kind of like, in the case of Harry Potter and the Horcruxes, he had 7 in that scenario. So let's just use that as a baseline. So if you have 7, maybe 5 of them are stuck to a certain location as opposed to somebody else's 2 that might be stuck to that location. So that would be why their energy is a bit stronger, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a theory. It's a thought. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. It's just my opinion, but that could be why that's the case. If that answers your question, I hope.
Oh, I think that's good. Linda Judd mentioned it sounds like frequency levels of existing. And actually, I was thinking about something. I had to take my teenager to the variety show just before we went live, and that was one of the things that kept us from starting right at 7 tonight. But I don't mind. Dad is chauffeur, and that's I'm getting used to it.
That's right.
But, no, it's cool. Family first.
That's right.
But I have my own dad, who, as you know, passed away last year, and we had talked shortly after. I have his truck, and there are times when I'm driving that truck, and I was thinking about this in reference to talking to you, or I just feel this vibration, man, or I just feel like I am him, and I'm looking over at my kids and the truck, and I feel like him talking to me, and I do feel like, wow, there's like an open door to just talking to him right here, and it seems like it's like that vibration. Is that what people refer to when we're talking about frequency and vibration with talking to those that have passed on, being in some similar scenario and really zoning in on that moment and what it felt like before and bringing it into the present? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I think that's absolutely true. I think that you kind of are, you're blending with your father and kind of tuning into his energy and that sort of thing. So he's able to kind of look through your eyes and kind of experience, a reliving of what you guys both went through, especially if there's that kind of feeling of familiarity of like you being the child and him looking at you, you know what I mean? So kind of being able to kind of blend with you and kind of mesh with you and kind of share that love and share that kind of feeling of like, this is family, this is our unit, and this is our soul team. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And is that like something you're doing when you're helping somebody else? Like, are you kind of getting into that frequency vibration of that relationship and able to tune into it? Is that how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I when I do my readings, I focus on, because everybody, they don't call them loved ones for no reason. These are people that we loved. These are people that we cared about, and that we wanted to know that they're okay and that they're doing well. So when I put that frequency out there, I definitely blend with that. And I kind of, sometimes I look at the other person and I feel the love that they had for that other individual, if that makes sense.
It does. The emotion. Yes.
Yeah, the emotion of that. And so like, and it's like, when I'm kind of connecting, that's definitely how it kind of works, is connecting on that love vibration, connecting on the vibration of the individual that was in the spirit world. And so they're blending with me, and they're kind of like, I wouldn't say taking over, but talking through me for sure.
Do the tools help? And that's things like crystals, or do you get any psychometry type feelings from maybe the items of a loved one?
I have before, for sure. Like there's been times where I've held on to a ring or a watch, and it's definitely helped the connection before. There was a time where I was actually having a really hard time connecting with somebody, and they were like, well, here's an item of theirs. Would this help? And I said, let's try, and sure enough, the connection was really, really strong, and a really great reading came out of it. So it was kind of neat that that psychometry was able to work in that fashion and kind of like, help me connect with that energy a little bit more than maybe just kind of going into it without that.
Oh, that's so great. So like you would hold the object and maybe just get a flash of something like.
Yeah, like there was one time I held onto a ring and I kept putting it on my finger and taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, and just kind of messing with it all the time. And it was a gentleman who I was doing the reading for, and he looked at me and he goes, that's my wife's ring. And he goes, that's what she did all the time. She would take it on and she'd put it off. She'd take it on, turn it off, and spin it around. And I was like, no kidding. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
So it seems like you'll go through like very great lengths to make that contact. I mean, do you ever hit somebody where the loved one is just not there, just says nope, or at least not as far as the person is able to tell?
So you're asking if I'm not able to make a connection sometimes,
or at least from the person's standpoint, the person getting the reading?
Sure. Yeah, and that does totally happen. There are definitely times where I've sat across from somebody, and I'll say, I feel like this person's coming through. They feel like a brother to me, and they'll say, nope, all my brothers are alive. And I'm like, okay, well, I feel another spirit coming through. Does this make sense? Nope, not at all. It just sometimes it's me, sometimes it's I don't know. I would say mostly it's me just because I'm a humble guy, but sometimes it works like that. Sometimes it does, just you can't make that connection, and that's okay. It's the ones that are that do stick and that are impactful, that are important, I think.
And they usually have a message.
And they usually have a message, yeah. And sometimes too, I've sat with a woman it was 15 minutes of her saying no to me, and then later on she came back and she said to me, she goes, look, I'm really, really sorry. She goes, about 90% of what you said made sense. I was just too upset to take the information. And she goes, and I didn't want to accept what you had to say was truth, so I told you no. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, that's more than fine, as long as what I said made sense and as long as it helped. And she said, yes, it did. So that was a good thing that came out of it.
No problem. Some comments out there about a spammer.
I'm messaging her right now.
I just blocked them.
You did? I was gonna be nice about that.
I'm hesitant to do that because I feel like everybody needs to go out and earn a dollar. They're trying to.
I get that too. I wasn't gonna.
What we found is that most of the people
that
interrupt your chats and advertising themselves are not going to give you a good reading.
No,
we want you to reach out to Mr. Brown here, because we know for a fact you're going to get a good reading.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. And then
we trust
spammers beware.
Yeah, spammers beware. Yeah.
you get to boot. Hey, I started off being nice, but you just went.
Okay. When it happens on my Facebook page, sometimes I get a bunch of spam. They're like, oh, if you want a real reading, then contact me. And I'm like, give me a break.
That's exactly what was just happening. I don't know if you could see comments.
Yeah.
And she was calling out person by person and doing the same thing. So
now
she's not. Sorry.
She'll have to make a new Facebook profile to.
She'll have to make a new one.
And she comes back, we'll do the same. So
yeah.
No worries.
Joanne Stewart goes, oh, you would be amazed.
Yes.
We know.
The stuff happens. Well,
yes. Moving on. Sorry.
We won't take it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I think that's really interesting. What's the last paranormal investigation you were part of? What was that like?
Let's see. Last paranormal investigation I was a part of. I'm trying to think. It's been a while. The winter has been rough for paranormal investigations.
Yeah.
But I know the last gallery reading I did was at a place called Merkaba Soul. That's right in Augusta, Maine. It's a metaphysical shop and workshop center and kind of event center as well. And doing that was really awesome. We had a lot of great moments. It was 2 hours, so it was kind of exhausting, but it was worth it so worth it, because almost everybody got a message, and there was about 25 people there. So
it's wonderful.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you get your energy depleted really fast by certain spirits?
There are certain readings that wipe me out for sure, but I think it's more kind of I can't. There's no other explanation for it. They do. Yeah. Sometimes it's just like after certain readings, I'm like, whew, like, wow, that was intense. You know what I mean? But it's always in a good way. It's always in a positive way. Like I said, I put that vibration of love out there. So even if I'm like that was intense, it's like a rush of good energy. So usually, like after like like I said, at Merkaba Soul also I do readings for folks privately, so I'll do one-on-ones there as well. But there's days where I'm booked through the entire day, and then at the end of the day I'm like, whew, like for a couple hours I'm like, man, I'm still buzzing, I'm still vibrating across the floor almost, just because of all that spiritual energy that's coming through. And then usually like 2 or 3 hours afterwards I get home, I sit down on the couch, and then I'm like, I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a spiritual hangover.
Yeah.
Good. I like the way you put that. You have to trademark that.
I know, right? Put a stamp on it.
Yeah, put a stamp on it. I was about to ask you something else as well. Your protection. We always ask everybody because we know everybody's individual. So, how do you go in to protect yourself before your readings? Do you meditate? Do you like the day before? I mean, how do you go about that?
So honestly, I do a little meditation usually before I do any readings like that. I also kind of say a little bit of a prayer, and I kind of say like, I thank God for this opportunity. I thank everybody that I'm about to meet and about to share their love with. And putting it that, like I said, that vibration of love out there protects against a lot. You know what I mean? Because you're only working on a frequency that's out of love and out of respect. And that's it helps with the protection aspect of it. But I have a bracelet that I wear that's made of hematite and tiger's eye.
Oh, no.
Come on.
So do I.
Smart man. Great minds think alike.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that helps me out a lot. I also have a necklace that's a pentacle that I wear that was given to me by a very close friend, Billy. And she gave that necklace to me as a protector. And I wear that. And I also wear a Mjolnir, which is a Norse kind of a Norse pendant. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I do, and it helps me a lot. It helps keep me grounded. It helps keep me safe. What's that?
We have a lot in common, my friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
A pendant of Hecate there, as well as a nice piece of labradorite hanging over
That's
here.
awesome.
I am enjoying.
Yes, labradorite's great.
Yes, you are.
And feeling like a good deal of grounding from the bracelet, which is a new addition.
Yes.
Oddly enough. Yeah, I got that last week, and yeah.
That's why I was like, no way.
I've liked carrying hematite in the past, and I have quite a bit of hematite I used to carry around in my pockets in investigations, and it seems like an easier way to do it. So
yeah.
and it's got your own energy on it, and it's got your protection on it, so it's very unique to you, which is great. But yeah, hematite and tiger's eye is a powerhouse, I think.
Yeah, I've got the tiger's eye, and I've also got obsidian in this.
Oh, perfect. Nice.
Yeah, nice little balanced thing there.
That's cool.
You should have. We went to a place last weekend. It's a metaphysical shop. I forgot the name of it now. That's terrible.
The Enchanted Dragonfly.
Thank you.
Nice.
And he was like a kid in a candy store. That's usually me. That's like that with all the crystals and the things. And we were there for over an hour. It was so funny. I'm watching him. And the only thing that I came out with, honest to God, in a metaphysical shop was a pocketbook and a necklace and earrings that have nothing to do with the metaphysical.
And don't get us started. No pentagrams on the pocketbook. It was just fashionable.
Yeah, it was just it was pink. It's got a bow on it. I'm sure when everybody's going to see it soon. But yeah, it was just so funny the way he acted and then the way I acted. That was very weird for us. It was very different.
Yeah, I'm hovering over the table of like crystals, and they've got them in all these little sections, and I'm putting my hands through them. I feel like the dragon and the Hobbit, the big dragon.
Your Smog, like, give me my trinkets, give me my treasures.
Exactly. Smog. Like, oh, this is wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, these are mine now. Give me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We love going in there, and I feel all the crystals, the ones that like I'm drawn to. And if I don't feel that they're for me, for myself, individually, then I don't get them. So
yeah, you're very picky about your crystals.
Like I don't order them online and stuff. So because I need energy. But
don't
get me wrong. I walk around with a pocketbook full of rocks. Actually, 2 bags. Some don't play nice with the other ones. So I walk around with the 2 bags, and that's why my pocketbook is so freaking heavy. And I needed it.
It's a good self-defense tool, though.
It is. You have no idea the what do I call it? What I walk around with. I have an arsenal. Depends on the situation. Nice. I have voodoo. I've got all kinds of stuff. I actually have a little bottle of holy water that was blessed by 3 priests. And
that's awesome.
I walk around like that, people. Depends on the situation and how you feel.
Interesting comment out here is a Loki Trout says he puts hematite in his wash in the rinse cycle.
All right.
And I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I imagine it would knock around a lot, but maybe
That's cool.
Draws some of the negativity out of your clothes. Hey,
Absolutely.
Maybe, definitely kind of spiritual cleansing after an investigation.
Yes. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And then while it's tumbling around, I'd go and put my recorder near it to see if I could get EVPs out of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I mentioned the running water, because we've done that, and that's something independent. Certainly, if people do this stuff where you just run water and you hear voices, and sometimes we hear it in the shower and in other places. I have a good story about hanging out with Nathaniel Gillis, right? But I'm not going to get into too much details. But let's just say we were having a few beers, and there was some running water, and I swore I could have heard it talking to me.
Well,
that's not the only thing.
You can use your imagination.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. I was peeing. That's why.
Okay.
I made that too inconspicuous.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought my pee was talking to me.
Yeah. But it was weird because the day before, while he was in the shower, I was in the kitchen and I could hear the running water. And I literally heard a man speaking with a woman in the shower running. And I was like, what am I listening to? What am I hearing?
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah. I'm like, Christopher, don't move. Whatever you do, don't move. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I'm like, well, I heard conversation.
Yeah.
And it's just really weird.
It does happen. And it seemed like there was a lot of activity going on at the time. It was just funny. It turned into that. They're like, hey, I'm hanging out. I'll be right back. I'm like, you're not going to believe this.
Wait until you hear this.
You got to hear this.
Yeah.
I think that was a sangria too with that.
Yeah, that was a fun.
Yeah, it was a fun.
Raising a little hackney.
Yeah.
But no, that's good stuff. So the tools can mean something to you. Obviously, you like the crystals. And is there any other things you use before you go out on a trip?
Like I said, mostly use prayer. Mostly use kind of that sort of thing. Talking to my spiritual team as well, my spirit guides, and just kind of asking them for protection and kind of saying like, look, let's work together and let's kind of for investigations especially, let's kind of work together and help kind of help people that are there, help the spirits that are there, as well as kind of get their message across and kind of get their kind of validation that like they're still there and that they're still living individuals.
I love this. And so you have a sort of I don't want to say appointed, but a team, and it's the same guides.
The same guides. Yep. So I actually, this is an interesting story, but when I was born, I was a triplet, but unfortunately 2 of my brothers had passed at birth.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. But they're my spirit guides, and I found this out very later on because I had a reading with a medium, and she had told me that, she's like, yeah, you have 2 brothers. And I'm like, nope, I only have 1. And she was like, nope, I see 2 brothers around you. And I was like, it dawned on me. And I was like, okay. Like, go on. She goes, yeah, they were infants. And she goes, they didn't make it. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, they're the 2 individuals that you see all the time. And I've always felt like I've had 2 guides, but I can never see a face, and I never got a name. And it's because my brothers, unfortunately, they were stillborn, so they didn't have a face or a name.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
So
really,
and that's kind of how they've been working with me ever since. And once I realized that, I had a better connection and a better kind of a better connection to them and a better relationship with them. It made sense that they were kind of watching over me and kind of helping me out. So I use them big time in spiritual protection and kind of just asking them to keep me safe, especially on paranormal investigations.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
What is the maybe most frightening or disturbing thing you've encountered on a paranormal investigation?
Well, getting pushed down the stairs at the Conjuring House was probably the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was going live on Facebook and I had my phone like this and I was standing at the top of the stairs. You guys have been there before, right?
We have.
Yes.
Yeah. So the stairs that are by the kitchen?
Yes.
Yes.
So they lead upstairs. So it was right at the top of those. And you guys know they're steep and they're tall.
Yeah.
So I was, like I said, I was on Facebook Live and there was nobody upstairs with me. Everybody was downstairs. And all of a sudden I just boom. And I just went down every single one of them. Just boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
And that was probably like the most frightening because I got the fear along with it. I got that kind of like, that gut, like when you see a shadow figure kind of fear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I got that along with being pushed down the stairs. So it was like physical pain, and I was like freaked out. And then everybody was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, I just got pushed. Like, and then and that stuff never happens to me. Like I don't know, like very, very few and far between. Although I was at SK Pierce Mansion and someone tugged my shirt. That was pretty creepy.
Wow. Yeah.
You felt it.
Staying...
You felt the energy, their energy.
Oh yeah. So it was literally like somebody went like this, but it was behind me.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. I was at SK and an fellow investigator went down the stairs. And the same thing. We were picking up stuff on an SLS cam. We thought we're children, and the next thing you know, down he goes. He was kind of hurt. Yeah, that's a big flight of stairs. You mentioned in the Conjuring house, that's the ones I think they go up to Andrea's room, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
the kitchen. Yeah. We got quite a bit of activity on our trip last year. Some of which, oddly, we just got the video back a year later. From our friends. Are getting it to us, and we're putting some of that together for the show. Because we had some pretty interesting experiences at the top of those stairs with a REM pod and a trigger object. In fact, it was Clowny.
Yeah. I have I'll tell you afterwards.
This guy here is this little clown, a porcelain, old school. Clowny's been a few places.
He goes out with us.
Clowny's been at Wilson's.
A little bit of trigger object.
But we like Clowny. May or may not be haunted.
That's awesome.
But interesting spot.
Now, I walked up to the top of those stairs. I felt a very negative presence, and it was like a shadow figure to me. And that's I can tell them apart from other spirits.
That in between area, right?
That's what I'm saying. At the top of the stairs, it was the
other side of the bedroom.
Was that where it was?
Yeah, going toward the other side. There's that in between area, and you can get up to the attic. That it's not really a room. It's like kind of between rooms. Well, we were seeing shadowy stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't get out because I had somebody in front of me talking to me, and I could not get out of there fast enough. And they're on the wall, and I'm like, I really need to get out of here because there's something here. You need to, and it's right here. Can you please move your arm? Stop talking.
Yeah. Please, I need to go.
Yeah, I have to get out of here. It was freaking me out, but that was there. It was a shadow figure.
Lisa says Clowny needs his own Facebook page. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Clowny is kind of cool. And I got a clown thing from my childhood. So, and I don't have clownophobia, whatever they call it.
So bizarre. I don't know how.
I feel like no, that's funny. Clowny a page. What that reminds me of another thing, we ask a lot of people this is like in these public investigation type places like a Conjuring house in particular, or Lizzie Borden, even Wilson Castle. Do you feel like people bring in their own baggage, and that ends up being what the haunting is?
My word for it. You've brought baggage.
I would say they definitely bring in their own energies, and they've definitely amplified by the people that they bring with them in spirit, for sure. You know what I mean? There's been times where I've seen it where, somebody's been on an investigation, and through the spirit box, their loved one's name comes through. And they say, that's connected to me, but it's not connected to the location. So I think that's definitely possible. And I think that's definitely part of what could be going on sometimes with those public investigations, for sure.
I would say that people are haunted just as much as places, right? Maybe more.
Oh my God, yeah. It's so funny because you say that, because it brings me. I went to this gentleman's house one time, and he wanted a reading of the house, and so I did the reading of the house, and come to find out it was him who was the haunted one, not so much the house. The house had nothing to do with it. It was his memories of what went on in the house, and it was his past trauma of what he experienced while he was in the house, as opposed to there was actual being spirits there. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so interesting.
It was very interesting, and it was haunting his own mind as opposed to haunting the physical location.
Wow. Yeah. I always wondered if I went back to my childhood home. In fact, I was thinking of this yesterday, what it would be like now for me.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting that you brought that up. So I never thought of that.
Yeah. I still have dreams of my house that was haunted. It's like a reoccurring thing. It's weird. I also found out that my brother and my sister have the same reoccurring dreams. It's always the house, but it's always a different scenario. It's always a different kind of thing. but I'm always in the same house, and I never understand why. But I, much to your point, Kristen, I wonder sometimes what it would be like to go back to, and I'm drawn to it constantly. And all I have to do is knock on the door. I know right where it is. I can drive to it, and all I have to do is knock on the door and say, "Hey, is there anything weird going on?"
Yeah.
But but my hesitation is that whatever is there may be dormant, and by me going there, it might reactivate and then mess with the family that's there.
Yes.
Yeah, wake it up a little bit. So that's my fear. And so I'm hesitant to do that. But I'm with you, Kristen. I want to go back to my family home so bad and just see what it's like and just get the vibration, get the feeling of it. Yes. Yeah.
And the connection is really between you and that spirit. So even by awakening it may or may not, have much to do with the present owner. And that's something they also say about the haunted locations and the Conjuring House. I've heard this said, it's changed hands over the years. It has a different energy now. It's still haunted, but it's different. And maybe it is. There is just something to the ownership of the residents that brings a different vibe to it.
Sure, I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, in the case of Wilson Castle, I can't really think of really great reasons for it to be haunted, but oh my God, we've had some amazing experiences there.
And that's why
I tell you what,
people with their baggage, that's where I go.
Yeah. I tell you what, one of the weirdest and most wild things that happened to me at Wilson Castle was being up on that third floor where the ballroom is.
Yeah, us too.
And I don't know. I think you guys might have been there. You might even been there. You might have probably saw me running or being very heavy, out of breath. But I remember I went upstairs and I was like, "Hello, anybody here?" And there was nobody upstairs. And all of a sudden, a woman's voice goes, "Hello." And I'm and I'm a medium, and I am around spirits all the time. But when they actually physically, audibly say hello to me, it freaks me out. So I remember running down the stairs and being like, "Oh my God, there's nobody upstairs. I just heard someone say hello." And everyone being like, "Are you okay?" Like,
we had an experience like that, and it was hello is what they said to us. But they yelled it. And we were outside and we had recorders going, and the weirdest part was it's not on the recorders. And but we both heard it at the same time, both jumped up in the air. It was very loud.
Nope, everybody would have heard it if they were there.
Kristen had at the headset like this on and was listening through a field recorder, so everything she heard was coming through the field recorder, but it's not on the recorder, right? So it's like, okay, here's the best non-data ever. You hear us bugging out, but what was that? Oh, we're looking around.
What the heck was that?
Yeah, that energy just all together. We in that the 2-3 minutes time.
Yes,
as we're with the energy going throughout the place where we were as well. We ended up with an EVP.
That's right.
And
after.
Yeah, I had to deal with the vibrations and the frequencies and stuff. Like you could feel it.
I almost think it's like a chain, and I want to come up with a term for this. And I don't know if other people have talked about it before, but what we've noticed, and I've heard other people talk about this, is like when a paranormal event seems to happen, a lot of times a few things happen, and they happen in rapid succession. Like a spiritual chain thing occurs, and there's all this activity, and then it's gone. And it's like it was here. Different things happen. You can confirm it because this other thing happened,
and then something right after that,
and then it's gone for a while.
Yep. I know exactly different highs and lows and lulls in the investigation, right?
It's almost like, well, the door's open now. Oh, it's closed.
Let's go.
Yeah, now it's closed. Yeah. They're like, "We have spoken. Goodbye."
Right. I think
let's do this.
That stuff happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Very strange. There was a question out here from our friend Mr. Jack Kilowatt. He asked, "Christopher, being from Maine, have you checked out places like the Ruggles House in Columbia Falls or Machias, if I said that correctly? That area of Maine seems incredibly haunted."
So you did pronounce it correctly. It is Machias. No, I haven't been to those places, but those are kind of they're a little bit of a drive for me. Where I live is kind of right in the middle of Maine. Machias is more towards the east. So those places are kind of far for me to drive, but I definitely would love to check them out. And thank you for bringing it up because these are the Ruggles House in Columbia Falls or Machias. Okay, I'll definitely keep that in mind, but I haven't been able to check those places out, but I would definitely love to.
Nice. Yeah, Maine is a big state.
Yeah, it really is.
It's huge.
Rural areas out there that are just like in a whole nother level of rural. More moose than people.
Well, where I live, there's we live right next to the Amish, so
Is that right?
Must be beautiful.
Oh yeah, yep. So their horse and buggies go up and down the road, and we kind of we coexist. And they sell these baked goods outside their houses. They smell amazing. So it's pretty awesome.
Wow.
To go there.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now, you're a reverend in a spiritualist church. And you want to tell us a little bit about what that's like? I find a spiritualist church like super interesting. I know we both do.
Yes, we both do.
And
So
it's
yeah,
really
so
how it exists today.
So I haven't been to the church that I've been ordained at for quite a while, which was the Etna Spiritualist Church in Maine. But basically, what it exists of is kind of a trust and faith in God. You know what I mean? A trust and faith that that the spirit world is kind of all around us. Much like a lot of other religions, but their main focus is on mediumship and connecting people through that way. So at the end of a service, you'll have like a gallery reading or a medium that will stand up and they'll do readings for folks at the end of it. And that's what really kind of sparked my interest in the spiritualist church, is being able to kind of stand up and deliver those messages out of love and in a place of worship and in a place of God. So that's what I really appreciated about being a spiritualist minister.
It's wonderful. It
I love
sounds awesome.
I love that.
And it's a really peaceful. There's a healing session as well, so you'll have Reiki practitioners that will do hands-on healing for you, and it's really great. It's an awesome experience. If you haven't been to a spiritualist church service, I definitely recommend it. It's a cool experience.
That's excellent. And we've talked about doing that. There's one in Rehoboth, Mass, not far from where we are now.
Yes.
You and I.
Yep.
And
all of us.
Yeah, that has events and they have meetings and things of that nature. And it does seem really peaceful and cool and kind of not what I think of when I think of a church. A lot of times I typically think of these kind of stern,
exactly
Catholicism and
yes.
It's very, very far away from that. I mean, there's motivational talks that will happen as well. There's kind of like, it's all meant to kind of lift your vibration, make you feel good, make you feel better. So when you leave there, you're not going, am I damned to hell for the rest of my life?
Right.
Or you leave there going, wow, I really feel like my connection to God and my loved ones is stronger. And so that's what I really liked about it a lot, is it focused more on the love aspect and less on the rules.
Yes. I really, really like that.
Wow.
We both do. Yeah.
Our audience member there, George, how you doing tonight? Says is Jack, my stepsister. Are you talking to Jack Kilowatt?
Yeah, I was going to say they have a really cool
thing married into the Ruggles family. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Ruggles family. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Every area has a lot of hauntings. It doesn't matter where you go in the country. I'm sure you've seen in your travels. It's just like, wow, there's something in this town that has a reputation. A lot of times it's the same stuff, and it's interesting. Like you see that woman in white and the haunted kid in the graveyard, just like
haunted hitchhiker, and
haunted hitchhiker.
A crazy thing that I saw was in Arizona. We were in Phoenix, and we went on a ghost walk tour. They brought us into this basement of this place, and it was a restaurant. But in the basement, it was this caged off with chain link fenced area. But on the other side of the chain link was about 30 dolls, all crowded together. And there was pennies and quarters and all these sorts of coins that were laid out as kind of a tribute to them. And they said that, like, if you don't leave a coin, the spirits of the dolls will haunt you. And so, of course, I left a coin.
Absolutely.
Better safe.
Yeah, I'm not going to walk out of there without doing that. I mean, that'd be ridiculous.
Right.
But that was one thing that I thought was really, really cool. It was a really kind of wild thing. And there was another building too that they showed us, old Victorian, and it was very out of place in Phoenix because you expect it to be like a stucco kind of building, but it was this old Victorian mansion. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go inside, but I saw a figure in the window that was moving around, and there was a couple of other people that saw it too. And it was kind of crazy because I was like, "Are you seeing this? Like, is there anybody there?" And all the lights were off. There was nobody there. So it was really neat to kind of have that experience with other people, and especially in another part of the country as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. So let's talk about some of the ways that people can get in touch with you and do readings and that sort of stuff.
Sure. They can get a hold of me right on Facebook. So if you go to facebook.com/psychic medium Christopher, you can get a hold of me that way. You can hit me up on my personal page as well, Christopher J. Brown. Those are all great ways to get a hold of me and get a reading. I do phone readings. I do in person, depending on location. So I'm pretty open to it, to whatever needs to be done or whatever people are comfortable with.
How about your book? I know we talked last year
yes.
about the book. Did you finish the book? Is it still in process?
The book is done. The book is done. I just have to publish it now.
Great.
Yeah.
You want to tell people about it?
Sure. So it's basically an account of my kind of journey throughout my spiritual kind of awakening and my kind of coming into being a medium and that sort of thing. There's also some inspirational talks that I've done throughout the church that I was a part of. So it's a little bit of autobiography. It's a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of mediumship mechanics as well.
Excellent. I think that's wonderful, and we want it in our library.
Yes,
absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Please keep me in the loop of publishing that. And
absolutely, I will.
The title is "I Fucking Knew It."
Yeah, I love it.
Well, and the thing is like I always got to the point where I didn't trust my intuition through my life, and I would say, God, I fucking knew I shouldn't have done that, or I knew I should have trusted my gut, and and sure enough, I never did. And so I always say, I fucking knew it. Or
yes.
How many times a day do people say this to themselves?
I know. And so it was perfect. So I was like, I have to call it this. I was going to call it 21 grams, ironically enough. And that's the weight of the soul, or supposedly the weight of the soul.
Oh, yes.
There was a gentleman that did are you guys familiar with that? The study of,
please tell us.
Yeah. So there was a study that was done where somebody measured the weight of an individual before they passed and after they passed. And after they passed, they seem to have mysteriously lost 21 grams of weight that they don't know how was lost. So they're assuming that was the weight of the soul, or at least that individual.
Consciousness, yes.
Yeah, their consciousness, exactly.
Research.
Yes. That's really fascinating. And I really like that idea. So I was going to call it 21 grams, but then enough people were like, no, stick with I fucking knew it. Like that's.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
You'd be one of those people. I just think that.
Yep.
Catches your eye, and I just think everybody's had that experience. 21 grams. I mean, I'm pretty sure they might say, the drugs.
Yeah, pot or something.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, right. Yeah.
Real quick, I have a question from Joshua Dixon, which I was going to ask you as well. Joshua asked about the place in Las Vegas or Nevada, wherever it was. Did they explain why the dolls were haunted and why they were below the restaurant?
Oh, yeah, good question.
I believe that when they were constructing the building, there was a little girl that had passed down there. So they were leaving dolls for her.
Oh, okay.
I believe this was I think that's the story if I'm correct. But I believe that was why, is because a little girl had passed and they were paying their respects to her.
Oh, that's sweet.
Interesting that they were kept below the restaurant.
Well, I think it was during the construction of the building.
Okay.
So I almost feel like she might have passed during the construction, or maybe her father passed during the construction. Something was connecting her to that location. And so they were kind of, they were paying their respects to her in that scenario.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I see.
Thank you for answering that. I don't really.
Yeah. So that was an awesome question.
Yeah, no problem. If you guys got questions, get them out there.
Yes.
As we're wrapping things up, you are also working on a web series, I believe, as well.
That's right. Yep. So Toby Hartford and I are working on a web series called Soul Searching, where I go to different locations and try to kind of pick up psychically and mediumistically on the spirits that are there. So that's been really fun. We have 4 episodes so far, and we're hopefully going to put out some more. But right now, we've been the 4 so far, but it's been really fun. Like I said, we've done one at Wilson Castle. I was able to kind of film a reading I did for Denise, the owner. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
and I think that's
nice.
Yeah, Denise is awesome. I love her. she's such a pure soul,
She's
yeah.
Just.
But yeah, so that was kind of what we were doing. And it's like I said, it's been a blast. So I'm hoping to do more. I think it was the Conjuring House. There was Swan Island, Wilson Castle, and Parsonsfield Seminary that we went to so far.
Swan Island. What is that? I've heard of that.
Yeah, so that's right in Richmond, Maine. That's actually closer to where I live. But it's this old, there's a lot of Indian kind of energy there, and Indian kind of burial grounds and kind of their presence that are there. But as well as it was this old town, and it was abandoned not too long after its conception. But there's old houses there, and there's definitely kind of a lot of spiritual energy there. The caretakers will say they don't like to sleep overnight on the island because different things will happen to them. Like one guy woke up and his feet were tickled.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he was like, I try not to sleep on the island if I can't help it. He's like, because there's just like a lot of spirits there. But Swan Island is an awesome place. We did a couple of events there where we camped out overnight for the weekend. But yeah, Swan Island's cool.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Being close to it, we'd like to go, and I've heard of it, but never heard of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A little shout out to
Gail.
Kim Horn and Gail Heisen. How you guys doing? Thank you for joining us.
Hey guys.
Great friends of ours.
Yes.
Love them.
Gail, miss you.
We need to catch up.
Love her.
And hopefully we'll be seeing Kim and Horn Paranormal Research
Yes.
in Pickens, South Carolina. We are still working on that to go to Haunting at the Mill.
He's making it very complicated with the pros and cons here, Kim. So yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out where
camping
we might camp
or
out.
B&B. Like, let's
That's trying to figure it all out, but we would definitely want to go and see those guys. And our friend who's in the audience, Lynn Monet, will be there.
Yes.
Nice.
Speaking, and Lynn and Anne-Marie Young, also in the audience, have a show here on Dark Horse called Synchronicity, adding pieces to the puzzle on Tuesday nights. And I'm just going to throw a little plug out there at 8 p.m. Eastern. Guys can check out. And Kim says now I'll be making homemade zucchini bread. See, I gotta go.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, now you gotta go.
That is awesome.
She's so sweet.
Love it. Food bribery. Yes.
Yes.
Food bribery.
Food bribery. Yeah.
And we may come out and see you at the event that Matt's holding. Because I don't know if we booked that day. It's Saturday, right?
Saturday, May 6th. Yep, I believe so.
We don't have that date booked yet.
If we are not booked, maybe we will head up there and come hang out with you guys. Because I've been wanting to get to that location, and it'd be wonderful to catch up with you and Matt and everybody that'll be there. Be a lot of fun.
That would be great. You definitely should.
Yes.
Yeah, we have fun with you guys, hanging out with you guys, and
absolutely.
It's always a blast.
And I think we've covered a lot of stuff. This is probably a good point to wind things up. I know you said you're a little tired, and I'm sure the family is keeping you busy. And I'm just waking up because I got my energy drink going here.
He's not.
There you go.
I got my
You have the whole night ahead of you.
Yeah,
I do.
Backwards. Yeah.
I'm totally backwards, taking a nap here in the afternoon. But this has been a lot of fun, Chris.
Yeah.
It's been a blast.
We hope you'll come back and see us again.
Absolutely. It's been a blast. Thank you so much, guys. I've had fun.
You're very
awesome.
welcome.
Let's stick around. I'm just going to play out a stream. We'll wrap things up and we'll get this show off the road. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's been fun. We love talking to Chris. He's such a great guy, and so much insight into mediumship and great stories. It's been a blast talking to you all, and we will see you guys again next Thursday on Dark Horse Paranormal. Until then, stay safe. And I don't know. I don't have one of those catchy. I need
I don't know. I need a catchy little thing where I'm going,
like
love from the bunny or something,
And keep it
bunny love. That's what it is.
Bunny love.
Bunny love.
Bunny love. I hold some kind of science. I don't know.
We'll figure something out. But I like the bunny love, and I keep going like this.
I like
with the
bunny
horns.
love.
So I'm all screwed up with that with the horns.
Yeah, right.
Bunny love.
All right, guys. Well, be safe. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.